State your name.
John Petrucci.
What do you do?
Try not to suck on guitar.
Who is your favorite guitar player besides Steve Morse?
You.
Let's get into it.
I do I see a guitar, like a piece of guitar gear back there?
Oh yeah. I got my I'm a lefty, by the way. I got my Ibanez RG blah blah blah, and then a really crappy bass from Dean. And no disrespect to Dean Instruments, it's just one of their lower quality.
I thought you meant the guy Dean, like your friend Dean.
We'll go with that. Just
what are you drinking there? That looks good.
It's actually Jim Beam.
Jim Beam is actually good.
Considering the price, I will agree with you to an extent.
I've become a bourbon snob, and one day all we can get was Jim Beam, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was really good. I was like, they know what they're doing.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. It takes a lot of guilt off of my soul.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a good call.
What's your favorite bourbon, honestly?
There's a couple lately that I've had that have been really amazing. I love the Jefferson's brand. So they have one that's Jefferson's Ocean aged at sea, which is pretty cool.
I had a friend who got some of that. He used to manage restaurants and stuff, so he'd get some of this stuff for free. Man, that was really good. That stuff was on point.
Elijah Craig is good. Staggs Jr. is really good. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Absolutely. Have you had Angel's Envy?
I have not. Is that good?
It's very good. The guy who is the master distiller for Woodford Reserve.
Okay.
He went and did his own thing, and when they were done with the distilling process, when they went to age in barrels, they didn't have any charred oak barrels, so they had to do it in port wine barrels.
That's a good move.
Dude, it's so light. It's like honeysuckle, man.
That's
it's really
so
nice.
Cool.
But anyway, I didn't even do you the justice of saying, hey, you got an album coming out here on February 22nd, Distance Over Time.
Yes.
And a lot of the Dream Theater albums all have themes in common. What was the theme for this album specifically?
Well, I mean, it doesn't really have like a running theme as far as a concept. By the way, I'm looking at you on my computer. Does that look funny?
Oh, no, that's fine. That's totally fine. I have another camera over here that we're going to get much better visuals for than
I never know what to look like. If it looks like I'm weird, like I'm looking at a wall. But anyway.
You're good, man.
This doesn't have it's not a concept record. So there's no storyline connecting the songs. There's no, musical theme that's connecting the songs. It's definitely a collection of individual songs, but the whole record, the way that we wrote it, the way that we went away to a private location and kind of just hung out and bonded and wrote, that is as much of the story of this record as the music itself. So if there's any theme, it's kind of like a theme of, old school, like band bonding,
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, man. And I heard you guys wrote it in 18 days. Is that true?
Yeah. We our writing style and process, I mean, it's been this way since the beginning. Like when we get together, if everybody's in a groove and like in a good musical space and it all sounds good, it doesn't take us long to write the music to a song. It could be a day, could be 2 or 3 days. So this record is about an hour long, and you just got to do the math. I mean, it's not like we rushed it at all. Like we were, hanging out, drinking bourbon in between, barbecuing, and just having a really good time. And just, when you're in that headspace where it's really relaxed, the vibe is really cool. The music just flows, and everybody's super, super creative in this band. There's no shortage of ideas ever. So,
Matt, we're gonna come back to barbecue hopefully at the end of this interview.
No problem.
But as far as that goes, what was the headspace like for you guys when you were in the writing process?
Well, the place that we were in is called the Yonder Barn. It's this really beautiful, beautiful barn that just the main space of it is this big giant room, and it just sounds so incredible. So picture a big, beautiful room with big open windows, and we had all of our live gear in there. So it's this juxtaposition of like a peaceful country room with like a ton of Dream Theater. And we cranked it up. So the vibe in the room was like loud, aggressive drums, guitars, everything just like cranking along. And so, you notice on this record, there's a lot more like groove based stuff. There's a lot heavier riffs. I tended to grab the 7-string more and some of the drop tuning guitars more. And
I would even say a fall into the light that had a lot more thrash than I'm used to hearing from you guys, which is really cool.
Thank you. Awesome. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, that's that to me. I know you're a guitar guy. We just talked about that, and one of my proudest moments was Boogie doing a signature amp with me, because I've been a Boogie fan forever and ever and ever, and I worship the Mark II C Plus that Metallica did Master of Puppets with.
Oh, yeah.
My amp is a bona fide reissue of that amp, but modernized. But anyway, if there's any track that you can hear how good that amp sounds, it's Fall Into the Light. Like that tone right there, that's pure Boogie right there.
Oh, rock and roll, man. So again, written in 18 days. There's still the mass plague of writer's block across all artists across the world. What's your secret?
Yeah, playing with other people. You can't. You're not going to have 5 guys having writer's block all at the same time.
True.
So having a collective experience like that is definitely helpful. And I know not everybody has the opportunity to do that. A lot of guys are writing music by themselves. There's still some things that happen if you're working on something and it's just not happening for whatever reason. Just doing something really simple like changing your environment could actually just spark something, really, really quickly. Jordan has often said this. He'll just like literally get up, walk out of the room, go do something else, and come back in. They'll be like, "Oh, that's it," and sit down at his keyboard and it's there. So that's that's definitely some good advice if you're ever in that position where it's just not, don't drive yourself nuts. Just walk out of the room, change your environment.
So there have been numerous fans who have not been the happiest necessarily about the drummer change. And some that say that, Portnoy had more feel than Mangini and Mangini feels robotic. What would you say to those fans?
Right. Well, I can't wrap my head around that thought.
You actually play with them.
Exactly. Being a person who plays with Mike. First of all, listen, I understand being a fan of a band and having a member change kind of disrupt your whole world. Like, I get it. I'm a fan of bands that happens, but so that side I understand, but the sort of concept or the thought that Mike Mangini as a drummer is lacking feel is just, I can't even, that blows my mind, because the guy is just unbelievable. He is one of the, if not the most talented drummer I've ever had the opportunity to play with. And he can feel like it, we can call out styles of music, and it's like he has authentic feel to play anything from metal to rock to Latin to jazz to swing to shuffle. He's just a monster musician. So yeah.
Do you mind hearing my 2 cents on it?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So my guess, first of all, Mangini has no feel. You obviously didn't watch. The person who's saying that obviously didn't watch the audition.
Yeah.
Because he had feel up the ass. Yeah. Secondly, Steve Vai is my number 1 guitar player. Mangini played on a lot of his stuff.
He did. Yeah, sure.
Lots of feel.
Absolutely.
So my guess is it's probably partly his kit. It sounds differently, and also probably partly the mixing and like just the different sonic direction you guys are going post Portnoy era, if I had to guess.
Right. I don't know. I mean, you could be right. This record, we definitely took because the barn sounded just so great, that room. And we talked about, really taking a more organic approach with all the instruments, but especially the drums and having them sound like Mike's kit, what it sounds like when he plays. And it was mixed by Ben Gross, and Ben did a great job kind of walking that line where you want the record to sound big and powerful, but, not to lose that organic edge. And I think he did a really fantastic job. And, listen, comparisons will be made, and people feel nostalgic about past members and something, people are still saying things like that about other earlier members, and that's fine. And I get it. But, I get it to a point to when people say things that are just really ridiculous,
Yeah.
reaching through like the, like Homer joking Bart Simpson. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, do you have any idea what you're saying? Like, this guy is the feel machine. He is the feel monster. It's like,
Yeah,
anyway.
I got you, man. I got you there.
It's funny.
So, obviously you guys have helped pioneer this genre of progressive metal, and there's been a lot of young bands trying to carry the mantle. Are there any fresh faces that you like in particular?
Right. I'm not sure if I like their faces, but the music.
That's the best answer.
You know what? There are so many bands. Mike, it's really hard to keep up. I'm always really impressed by what my nephew and his band have done with Periphery. I think those guys have just, helped take things to.
I didn't know that was your nephew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree. They're in my top 10 along with you guys, by the way.
So an example of taking things, taking the genre, possibly being influenced by Dream Theater and doing something different and new and moving the genre somewhere else. Tosin and Animals as Leaders has done that as well, and Tesseract, and I mean, there's so many. I can't even I am not the most versed with all the new stuff that's going on.
No worries.
I'm horrible at it.
I am too versed on it, and according to some people, not enough. And it's actually been to my detriment as a musician trying to keep up with this YouTube channel. But we'll move on from that.
My friend and fellow music man endorser Jason Richardson he had on his last solo album, that stuff that he did on his first solo album. It's just some crazy, insane stuff that's taken things to another level as well. But I like I said, I'm definitely not like the authority.
I literally just recommended that for as of recording this, it will have been last Friday. Jason Richardson, what was it? Tendinitis. That song is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. He's out of his mind. Yeah.
In the best way possible.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So now for a couple of fun questions, if I will. Do they just make you a new guitar every time you make an album?
That's funny. My relationship with Ernie Ball Music Man is like, if I could describe it to you, it's like one of the most incredible things. I mean, I'm going on, we're at 18 years, going on 19 years, working with Sterling Ball and his family, his sons and everybody there. It's just like this incredible experience of all these guys that love guitar, are amazing engineers and know how to build these incredibly beautiful instruments. So, we like to kind of develop things and keep them moving. This year at NAMM, we're debuting a new line of the Majesty, which you'll see and people will become familiar with. But, we didn't reinvent the wheel this time. So there's not a new model coming out, but there's some, subtle changes and some aesthetic changes as well to the Majesty. But I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of creative ideas come to light thanks to Ernie Ball Music Man. So I don't take that lightly or for granted. It's an incredible thing as a guitar player to be able to do. It's amazing.
So how much do you engage with the YouTube community on a regular basis?
Probably not as much as I should. there's a whole world out there that I guess more recently got turned on to. And it's actually, speaking of Ernie Ball Music Man, and, you know, there are guys out there that are doing some unbelievable stuff. And I last year did something where I did a Super Mario Brothers cover.
I saw that with Family Jewels. Hell yeah.
Jules, and went to his house and did that. And I was talking to him and his girlfriend, who's another successful YouTube. And I'm like, wow, this is a world like I am just not tapped into. And when you're talking about people getting 6 million views on things and stuff, you know, it blows my mind. So to answer your question, I'm definitely not as tapped in as I probably should be. I feel like it's this world that's existed, and I'm like the old guy, like, hey, what's this new?
For one, I almost cried when you handed him that signature guitar. That was beautiful.
There you go.
For two, I actually had a suggestion.
Okay.
If you're interested.
I don't even have a YouTube channel, by the way. That's how lame I am. Even for my own whatever, I don't even know what I'd put on it. But yeah, what's your question?
You're good. So they have like these. Jared Dines hosts these Shred Wars.
Yes,
and I mean that would be something cool if you showed up on those one day. That would be definitely cool. But even beyond that, if you did John Petrucci versus John Petrucci, and like push yourself to your own limits.
Okay.
That could be really interesting to see.
That would be awesome. That'd be really.
I mean, that's also coming from a fan, so keep that in mind. But
all right, I might hurt myself if I do that, but
I mean, hey, it's all for art, right?
Yeah, that's fine. There's so much cool stuff out there. Jared, he does some really cool stuff, and you know, again, you know, like I said, I'm a little late to the party, and I see this stuff. I'm like, man, this whole thing's going on, but it's really cool. I think it's great. You know, one of the things about like just the advancement of technology and all these different mediums is that they're out there now, that they exist now for people. And they didn't necessarily, you know, when Dream Theater started, when our first record came out in 1989, Images and Words came out in 92, you know, none of the stuff was around, making myself sound old. But my point is that there's so many more avenues and ways for people to like express their art and reach so many people immediately. So that's unbelievable. It's incredible. It's an amazing development.
Absolutely, man. All right, last question for you. Barbecue.
Yes.
So when I did my video on your first single for the new album, I thought you were grilling hamburgers. I was informed in the comments by someone who told me I wasn't a true fan, apparently.
Oh no.
They said that you were smoking chicken, as a matter of fact. Is that the case?
Yeah, I was.
So you're a fan of barbecue?
I am. So just really quickly. So we've been talking about Ernie Ball Music Man a lot. Sterling Ball. Sterling Ball is a champion competitive barbecue pitmaster.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so he started a while back a company separate from the guitar and amp company where he sold American-made smokers. And sort of, it's called Big Papa's Smokers.
All right.
And he expanded that. If you go on the website, you can buy rubs and sauces and accessories and meats and knives and everything. Anyway, at one point, he gave his endorsers smokers. So me, Steve Morse, Albert Lee, Steve Lukather. You know, so this smoker shows up at my house, and I'm like, all right, I live on Long Island in New York. I don't know how to smoke anything. You know, and that was several years ago, but needless to say, I got bit by the bug and I got totally into it. And so, you know, my conversations with Sterling, a lot of times, instead of being about guitar or being about what temperature should the pit be for this. And one of the things he showed me how to do was smoke chicken thighs in the drum smoker. So that's what I was doing in that video. That's a big Papa's smoker, stainless steel drum smoker. We were using charcoal that day and smoking chicken thighs, and they came out unbelievable. If you could only taste what was in that video, you'd be blown away.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Last question on barbecue. I'm assuming you've had it around different cities that you've been to.
I have. I mean, you know, I don't know if I'm a connoisseur as far as certain restaurants, but go ahead.
What's your favorite?
What's my favorite? All right, here's something really interesting. I'm going to let you know. If we take Sterling out of the equation because
Okay.
he's cooked for the whole band and crew. Like, if you haven't tasted like competition barbecue like that, it's ridiculous, right? So if we take him out of the equation, of course, I don't want to piss people off. I've been to Kansas City, all these different places that are known for barbecue. When we were up recording this record in upstate New York, it's close to like Woodstock area, there was a barbecue guy, had a big rig, like on the side of the road type of thing, and made brisket, chicken, his own beans, coleslaw, ribs. And we got it one day. I'm telling you, that was some of the best barbecue I've ever had right in good old New York, upstate. So
you heard it from John Petrucci right here.
I'm telling you, if you got
best barbecue.
If you got the right, if the guy knows what he's doing, I don't know if it matters where you live,
I 100% agree with that. But no, I was just interested what your answer would be. Consider I'm a very big fan of barbecue to my health's detriment, but
sure. What's your favorite? Do you have like a certain like restaurant or a city or?
Well, I haven't had good barbecue in any city other than Nashville.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. That's where I'm located. But
I understand. I'm sure it's unbelievable down there. I'm sure it has to be.
If you're ever in town, you got some spare time, I'd be happy to take you to a place. But anyway,
I'm there.
Distance Overtime, February 22nd. You guys better go pre-order it. I already did. So, John, seriously, it means a lot that you took the time out for this, man. Seriously, it was awesome conversation.
Yep, same here. Thanks. Enjoy the JB.
I will. All right. Rock on.